So firstly, you're all very welcome. My name is Katie O'Neill and I'm the Senior Marketing Manager here in the UCD College of Engineering and Architecture, and I'm your host for today. So today we are very lucky to be running a session on the top masters that are available in our School of Biosystems and Food Engineering. And we are joined today by the Head of School, Professor Colm O'Donnell, one of our current students, Kelly Noble, and one of our recent graduates, Luke, who will be sharing their experiences. As well, I have my colleague, Laura Egan O'Brien, who will also be here to answer your questions. So without further delay, I would like to introduce the Head of School, Professor Colm O'Donnell.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Katie. So it's my pleasure this morning to give you an overview of our programs in Biosystems and Food Engineering, and just give you the background of the course, the objectives, and the career opportunities. Before I start, I'd like to give you an overview of our school. So we have 15 faculty, approximately 230 students, and we have a strong research group. We have approximately 20 postdocs and 86 full-time equivalent research students, mostly at PhD level. And that's underpinned then by research active faculty who bring in approximately 6 million per year in research funding. So in Biosystems and Food Engineering, we apply technology along the agri-food chain. We look at production, processing, and some of the challenges then, the environmental impact, the sustainability, the life cycle assessment. And that's underpinned by a quantitative approach, underpinned also by comprehensive modeling with good data from Internet of Things and different sensor technologies. Particular key strengths of the school are in energy, particularly sustainability aspects, life cycle assessment, food processing, another key area, and also environmental impact. And those themes then are reflected in the taught masters programs that we offer, which are underpinned by strong research teams and also opportunities for projects for students on our programs to undertake then in collaboration with a research active group in our well-equipped laboratories. Our school essentially is funded by these funding initiatives, and certainly most of the large agri-food initiatives in Ireland and many of the key ones in Europe our students, our postdocs, and our staff participate in. A lot of our taught students, when they complete our 1 year or 2 year master's program with us, go on to complete PhD programs. And often the opportunity you will get on your taught master's programs to complete a 30 credit projects, it's a great taster for what life is like as a PhD student, if that's what you want. So this morning then, I'd like to outline our 4 taught programs. Our ME Biosystems and Food Engineering is offered as a 2-year program, but it can be condensed to a 1-year program if students already have a 4-year engineering degree. And then the other programs we offer are 3 1-year taught masters programs. So they're 12 months, start in September and finish the end of the following August. And the last 3 programs there, they are for graduates who have a relevant science or engineering degree, whether that be in any area related. So again, the specific course requirements are listed on the course brochures you can see on our website. So I'll start by just giving an overview of our ME Biosystems and Food Engineering. So this is a professional engineering program. The career opportunities for graduates, they work with companies like Diageo. So it's applying engineering principles to the food chain to optimize processing. And when you optimize processing, what does that mean? Well, it means that you look at areas such as process automation, you look at areas such as the impact on the environment, minimizing the use of resources, whether that's water, etc., and the opportunity to implement new innovative technologies where you can achieve the desired processing effect, maybe with a lower energy footprint. Increasingly, the use of green technology, so avoiding the use of maybe harsh chemicals, particularly looking at opportunities for using technologies like some of the electro heat technologies, such as also ultrasound. This program then has a professional work experience of 6 to 8 months, where our students go out and work with generally a large engineering or food company and acquire experience before coming back and completing their second year. The course content is 120 credits, so 2-year. As I said, if you have a 4-year engineering degree, that can be condensed into a 90-degree program, 90-credit program. The modules you would study would be food process engineering, food refrigeration, life cycle assessment, and then we have a suite of options depending on whether you're more interested in the energy aspects, or the food processing aspects, or some of the biosystems aspects. One growth area would be the use of renewable technologies. Again, that's a popular option. Just to give you an example of some of the internships, PM Group, an engineering design company that works with some of the larger multinationals in the food and related industries. So a number of our students have completed internships with PM, and they work with this design group that are delivering turnkey facilities. So they maybe get a client that comes in and say they want to build a factory, to build a process, and so PM supply the engineering input to delivery of those projects. So great opportunity to get relevant work experience. And again, that combined with the degree leads to very attractive career options. One of our graduates that worked in Diageo, when he was completing his final report, he sent us some photographs. So he looking at optimizing the production and processing of a production line in the UK. So just give you the scale of the operation, 72,000 bottles per hour. So it's a very large scale, high throughput industry, huge opportunity to optimize it and derive added benefits, both in terms of financial and minimizing the impact on the environment. I'm just conscious of time, so I'll just move on briefly to our second program, and that's our Masters of Food Engineering. Now, this is a 1-year program, and it's open to graduates in engineering and science and related disciplines. So it's an opportunity for people who have who wish to pursue a career in food engineering, maybe to work with a large multinational company. Graduates of this program have gone on to work with the likes of Glanbia, Pepsi, and similar companies. The structure of this program, I said it's a 1-year program, so 3 trimesters, 2 trimesters of modules, so that's September to December, January to about May, and then over the summer period, you complete a 30-credit research project. Every year we have a list of around 30 project titles we put up, and then you would select a project and work with the relevant faculty and his or her research group to complete that project. Sometimes we have students who have a particular interest, maybe in brewing or maybe in process control, and they will propose a project, and where possible, we accommodate students who have a specific interest to work in a specific area. Perhaps they want to pursue a career in that area. And with our 15 faculty, there's generally a faculty who has expertise in those topics. Global cold chain safety. We live very much in a global environment. The food ingredients are sourced globally. Food products are shipped globally. So some of the challenges in terms of doing that in a safe manner, both from a food safety perspective, avoiding contamination, avoiding microbial growth, ensuring an extension in shelf life of the product. So food processing kind of is unique because you can design a process that has a low energy footprint, but will that end up with a product that has the best sensory properties? Will it taste? Will the texture be optimum? Will the energy reduction be reduced? So there's a lot of challenges to designing a process then, and food itself is a very variable product. So to produce a consistent end product, can be quite challenging. Good opportunities for advanced process control, and some of our students then complete their projects on looking at employing advanced imaging technology to monitor and control processes. The third program I'd like to briefly introduce this morning is our environmental technology program. And again, this is open to graduates in engineering and science. And it's particularly suitable to graduates who wish to pursue a career in the environmental area, whether that's with the Environmental Protection Agency, whether it's working into companies, perhaps working in air pollution, water pollution, excuse me, and increasingly the companies are setting up groups to show compliance with sustainability legislation. So there's a very strong demand for graduates in environmental technology. And increasingly, the constraint to companies operating in many industries is meeting the specific requirements of their environmental license, whether that's air pollution, water pollution, etc. The structure of this program, again, it's a one-year program. So start in September, complete in August, 3 trimesters, 2 trimesters of modules. So we've core modules on air pollution, on energy, life cycle assessment, and then there are options to take 1 or 2 additional subject studies area, either through your project or through a module. And again, the 30 credits research project would be a list of project titles aligned to faculty research interest, and you get a list to sign up and then work with a faculty and his or her research group over the 3 months of the summer to complete your project. The final program I'll talk about today is our MSc in Sustainable Energy and Green Technologies. Again, this is open to graduates in engineering and science. It's again a one-year program, and it really introduces the range of sustainable energies, their constraints, and introduces you to some of the new novel technologies that will reduce the environmental impact in terms of what are the new renewables that have relevance and the promising technologies, and what are their constraints. The structure of the program, again, is 2 trimesters of modules. The modules you would cover would have a core where you would look at energy systems, and then the impact both through life cycle assessment. So you get good exposure to the tools and the technologies used to assess carbon footprints, water footprints, and what are the renewable technologies that have relevance. We also have an entrepreneurship module where students are introduced to the basics of entrepreneurship, and some decide to do a project in that area. So it could be, for example, bringing a new technology or a new energy generation approach to market, or setting up a company based on that. One of our recent graduates, Mert, he completed this program and now works in the wind turbine industry. So again, it's a good, if you know where, from a career perspective, which area you wish to work in, it's a good stepping stone into a career trajectory in this area. And with the trend to decarbonize the economies globally, it's an area where there are many opportunities. Particularly the whole area of biogas, digesters, new opportunities to solve an environmental problem and generate energy at the same time. So it's really an exciting area going forward. So rather than giving you a list of maybe the companies who have worked for specific programs, I just looked at where do UCD engineering graduates work, and if I look at where our graduates from these 4 programs have worked, they've worked in Diageo, Bord Namona, they've got career opportunities in Google, in PM, so and Glanbia and Kerry and Dairy Gold. So large multinational companies. They have great career opportunities for graduates who have expertise in process engineering, food manufacture, the environmental area, sustainability area, and also energy. So we designed our master's programs around the staff competencies, but also the career opportunities that are available to graduates in these programs. So Katie, I'll leave it at that point. So I briefly give you a quick overview of our 4 different programs. They're 1- and 2-year programs. And if you look at our UCD website, you'll get more information on the specific course structure and the career opportunities. But if you have any other specific queries, please contact Katie's team or myself, and I'll be pleased to assist. Thank you, Katie.
Thanks very much, Colm. That was really interesting. I think what always I find really nice is seeing the variety of companies that graduates from this school go into. And sometimes they may not even be students would expect that there might be an opportunity. So I think it's wonderful to see the excellent career opportunities. So without further delay, I would like to introduce Luke Fagan. Luke graduated from us in 2020, having done the 1-year master's in sustainable energy and green technology. So he's going to share his experience with you all. Thanks, Luke.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today. You know, I had such a fantastic time in UCD, so it's great to come back and share a bit about my own experiences. I suppose I'll start off with a bit of my own backstory and what I did as an undergrad and what was my thinking process before choosing to do a master's in UCD. So my undergraduate degree was in science in Trinity, and I specialized in zoology, and I really enjoyed that at the time. And I was working in various roles around Ireland and abroad. And then in 2018, 2019, I found myself working in a solar PV company in Australia. And this really opened my eyes to the industry of sustainable energy and green technologies. And although I was enjoying the role, I was definitely seeing that, you know, I should go back and do a master's while I still have the opportunity, while I don't have as many responsibilities. And for me, I was looking at some of my coworkers, and you know, they had done similar masters, and they were, you know, they had a really good knowledge on the area, and I felt I was kind of lacking in that area. So I suppose the main reason I wanted to do a master's in UCD was that I wanted to change my career path. And you know, I started looking for different masters across the world, and UCD immediately popped up to me as, you know, a great opportunity. You know, I believe it's the quality of the academics there as well that really stands out. You know, a quick Google search will tell you that how prolific all the teaching staff are with releasing papers every year. And so I immediately started reaching out to recent graduates of my course, and they all said the exact same thing. They had brilliant experiences in the School of Biosystems and Food Engineering. So for me, it was a no-brainer to sign up. And I mentioned that the quality of the academics was what drew me to UCD. And when I finally started my course, you know, the actual quality really blew me away. I felt every lecture I was in, I was completely engaged in. And I found everything just so interesting. All the lecturers were fully helpful, very friendly, and very approachable. And, you know, I think a lot of people can relate to this, where they might be in an undergraduate degree and they miss out on certain opportunities, and then when they finish up, they realize, oh, I wish I'd applied myself more, or I wish I'd, you know, taken part in different societies in university. So I went into the master's in UCD wanting to apply myself, and also to try a few different sports and activities, which, you know, UCD is probably one of the best colleges in the world for that. They encourage you to try so many things outside of the classroom as well. One key thing for me being in the master's was I was a bit nervous that I wasn't an engineer, and you know, it seemed like that the course would be quite focused on that. But when I got into the course, I realized that the lecturers were just incredibly helpful, and they you know, they completely helped us all get through the course. And I think I speak on behalf of my entire course that we all really enjoyed every module, and we were able to challenge ourselves appropriately, and we really all found ourselves applying ourselves really diligently. In terms of the teachings, what really drew me to my course in sustainable energy and green technologies was the variety of modules and the variety of assignments. So I think a lot of the times in university, especially in undergraduate degrees, you can be taking part in modules and you might not fully appreciate the real world value. But I felt in my master's in particular that everything we were learning about in every class had significant value for us going forward into our careers. And I felt like each assignment we were doing had a real world application as well. We were working on real world problems. So that was a big one for me and why I chose UCD. And then, just in terms of, I suppose I was in a unique year in UCD where I began in face-to-face learning, and then the pandemic hit and suddenly we're a distance learning course. But I can't speak highly enough of all the lecturers that helped us get through that, and they were completely adaptable. And that just follows on from prior to the pandemic when they were unbelievably approachable and they could answer any questions you had at all. In terms of the, excuse me, the benefits for my career, straight away in UCD, they help you get the career you're looking for. They have a fantastic career service, and there's a huge emphasis on prepping you, be it through, dedicated interviews that they get people from industry in to speak with you and interview you, and in terms of also crafting your CV as well. So yeah, that was unbelievable. And just to give you an indication, in my course, most of us were doing job interviews about halfway through the course. We all found we were quite in demand, and but by the end of the course, most of us had received job applicate or offers as well. So that's another bonus of doing it. And then in terms of what I'm doing right now, I've actually started my own company based on e-learning, which is directly related to the content I was learning in university in this course. And I find that the things I learned in the modules I'm using on a daily basis, and they couldn't have been more invaluable to me. And Colin mentioned there was an entrepreneurship module in my course, and I think this actually opened my eyes to the potential that my course and the other courses have to make an impact on the world. So that really spurred me to want to get into entrepreneurship, and really enjoying myself at the moment. So happy to answer any questions if you have any in particular.
Luke, thanks so much for sharing your experience. I think it's really interesting, particularly when you've come from a different university for your undergraduate, and then you've actually gone out into the experience of work in the world to make the decision to come back and do the master's. So I think that's really interesting to hear. So thank you. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Kelly Noble. Kelly is a current student at the moment. She is on a 2-year master's with us. She is doing the ME in Biosystems and Food Engineering. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, Katie, and thank you all for having me and letting me speak about this. My name's Kelly, and I'm in the first year of the Biosystems and Food Engineering Master's Program. I'm originally from Florida and did my undergrad at the University of Florida in chemical engineering. When I moved to Ireland, one of the first things that drew me to UCD was that it is the most international university in Ireland. Although my program is quite small, all of us are from different countries, and I think that really facilitates a special kind of learning experience. I also love the location in Dublin and its access to public transportation. I actually live a little bit outside of Dublin and Maynooth, and it's very easy for me to travel to and from campus when I need to. I actually decided to pursue the Biosystems and Food Engineering course after attending a seminar just like this one, when I found out about the internship placement. I know going into a master's that for me personally, professional experience was the most important thing that I could gain individually to give them the best opportunity at finding a placement that is the right fit for them. Even now with COVID, I've been working in person since January with a dairy company. I'm at Glanbia right now and have absolutely loved the time I've spent here. It's definitely of kind of the application of the things that we learn. Trimester that I did complete with UCD in the fall, it was online. I had a positive experience though. The professors that I had were all extremely responsive and understanding about the struggles that come along with online learning and being in a pandemic in general.
Luke, someone has asked, did you find it difficult to come from a work situation and to really motivate yourself back to study?
I was working for 2 years outside of my undergraduate degree, and for me, it was a bit daunting to go back as well. But I found the second I entered the doors of UCD, it just became a lot more manageable. Everyone was really helpful, and I think the lecturers understand that a lot of people are coming back from employment as well. So for me, I didn't find an issue with that. I don't think many people did.
And I'm assuming then it possibly it has been a very positive decision in terms of you don't regret it now that you reflect back, because you've gone ahead and actually started your own company.
Absolutely, yeah, and across the board for the people I went to attended the course with, that everyone has employment now, and they're all working in particular areas they'd like to work in as well. So that's a big plus.
That's really good. Laura, just a question, probably just while we're on this topic, someone had sent me a message around the employment supports that are available through the university. I know you'd be quite familiar with those if you'd like to explain them.
Yeah, so we do have a career support network. So it's a kind of an office we have on campus where we have college liaisons that would look after students within our college, particularly for career supports. So what they do is they can do CV clinics, and they do workshops around your CV, your cover letter, your resume, that kind of thing. And then they would also run one-to-one workshops where you can go and ask some questions and get some feedback as far as what your profile is like and what you can do to improve your profile. And then a couple of times a year, they also run career fairs on campus. So they invite companies on campus to meet our students. One is more of a general career fair, and then one is particularly a STEM fair as well. So that one would be really important for our students. And then we also have the Engineering Graduates Association. So they're are all our graduates from engineering, and they actually do mock interviews each year as well for our students on the MEs, on the 2-year programs who are going on internships. So they'll do mock interviews for those students, which most find really, really valuable, because they're industry professionals who will give you feedback on how you might interview and how you might upskill for when you're going looking for work afterwards. So yeah, there's plenty of supports there. And then also the Careers Network do a jobs portal as well. So they will be approached by companies who want to advertise, particularly for UCD graduates, and they'll put their jobs up there, and our students can look at those and apply for them directly from the UCD portal itself.
Excellent. And Colm, I think that as well, the academics teaching within the School of Biosystems and Food Engineering, I know they're all very research intensive, but they would also have good connections with commercial organizations. And there was a mention that I know we don't have the internship on the 1-year MNGSCs, but through the thesis, if students are particularly interested, they could potentially do one with a commercial organization. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Certainly, Katie. Currently, we have a lot of ongoing industry projects. Half our research income would be associated with industry partners. So, for example, if a student would like to pursue a career, for example, in the dairy industry, that student will have an opportunity, even on our 12-month programs, to pick a 30-credit project, perhaps designing a new technology to optimize whey processing or cheese manufacture. And we would use company data, on-site visits to a company to get the data, discuss the challenge, come back to UCD, and look at developing and enhancing the technology for that industry client. So the student, indirectly would get an exposure to industry, acquire relevant industry kind of experience, and they would then be at an advantage when they go for interview, that they could talk about how their program, how their technical competencies that they have acquired, how they would be relevant to the company, and how they could add value. So internships are not included in our 12-month programs because the duration is too short.
Sure.
So selecting a relevant industry focused project is a good opportunity to get that industry exposure. And increasingly students who wish to work in a particular sector are using that option in their program.
Excellent. I also think it's worth pointing out that the employment rate for the College of Engineering and Architecture graduates after 6 months of graduation is 93% of our students are either in employment or in further study, because there is an interest, of course, of a number of our students who would be interested in pursuing PhDs. Colm, another question that's just come in for you. Someone asking, what areas do biosystems and food engineering cover? I mean, that's quite a broad question.
Very broad. They would cover they would cover the full spectrum of activities from primary production of bioresources, whether that's, for example, crops for energy or food crops for consumption, through to processing, through to post-processing, distribution, supply chain, and also the associated environmental and energy impact. So it's really looking at the production of bioresources for food, fuel, or other energy sources, how that can be optimized from a financial perspective, from an engineering design perspective, taking into account the impact on the environment, sustainability, water and carbon footprints, etc.
Okay, and another question, someone asking, what separates agricultural and biosystems engineering from biosystems and food engineering?
They're all highly related. Originally, our program was called Agricultural and Food Engineering, but because some of the new technologies like fermentation, the whole area of biological engineering is a very large growth area, particularly the use of microorganisms, some of the advanced extraction processes, and the similarity between bioprocessing for a food application, for a medical application, for a biopharma application. So it reflects the evolving trend towards using biological engineering approaches to optimize food production, food processing, and also the sustainability area.
Excellent. And someone also just asking, Colm, would you feel that a student who has work experience before their master's, I imagine they're thinking of Luke here, would they have a better chance of landing a job after the master's program than someone who, I guess, has maybe gone straight from a bachelor's into a master's?
Potentially, but if you didn't have work experience, you could make up for that by picking an industry-focused project with an industry partner. So I think even without that work experience, you would be in a very competitive position to land a career opportunity with a future employer. I mean, you must remember, employers, they want to recruit excellent graduates that can add value to their bottom line so that they can enhance the process in their company, make them more competitive, make them more efficient. So whether you demonstrate that with prior industry work experience or through your projects or through your technical competencies, you have opportunities in all areas to demonstrate your suitability. So I think it would come down more to the quality of the individual.
And I think it's worth noting, I would suggest that the majority of the applications that we see are from students who actually haven't taken a gap between their bachelor's and their master's, just as an FYI. Kelly, we're going to try you again. I know you've reconnected on a different connection, so we'll see how it goes, but there's no stress if it doesn't work. I'll just direct a question to you. So someone is asking either Luke or Kelly about your experiences during the internship in industry. So I guess, Kelly, you're currently in your internship right now. They're wondering, how were the modules able to best prepare you to tackle the unique challenges that you've experienced by working in industry? Did you feel that the modules and the preparation that you had in trimester 1, that you were well prepared to undertake your internship? And I'll go to Kelly for that.
Yeah, I'll try to talk. I'm not sure if it will cut out.
We can hear you now, and if it interrupts, I'll let you know, but there's no stress.
Okay, I was also going to say I'll put my email in the chat just in case anyone has questions for me. I can answer them that way also afterwards. But I think for me, at least, I've been working in a cheese processing area, and so I have learned a lot here about the cheese making process. But what really helped me from the modules at UCD were maybe some of the sorry, I just heard feedback. some of the equipment processes, like things like separation, clarifiers, pasteurizers. Those were all things that I had been familiar with due to my classes at UCD that I then got to see firsthand how they work in a production environment here.
Okay, that's excellent. One for you, Colm. Someone is asking specifically, they did a 4-year undergraduate degree in Turkey in mechanical engineering. So they have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and they are interested in sustainable energy and green technologies. They're wondering, would they have the relevant background to make an application for sustainable energy?
Absolutely, that would be very very appropriate background. And the candidate who is profiled in the presentation I showed you, Mert, one of our graduates, he was from Turkey with a 4-year degree program who joined us. And so absolutely, that would be well matched to the requirements of the program.
I have another question around the careers. Somebody is asking, do you see the graduates, and maybe Luke would maybe even like to contribute here as well, do you see graduates go into more private sector or public sector roles, or would it be generally a mix? Maybe Colm or Luke, you might have an opinion on that.
Yeah, but based on my year, it was definitely a mix. I think, you know, it's generally 50-50 for my year, and I think a lot of people have just gone directly for what they were interested in. You know, so it's generally a mix, I would say.
Okay, and Colm, would you take the same viewpoint?
Yes, generally a mix. Maybe more go into the private sector, but increasingly government agencies, the Environmental Protection Authority, Sustainable Energy Ireland, the whole level of environmental enforcement, the regulation of energy generation, the monitoring of sustainability indices. There's a whole new sector emerging, both in regulatory agencies and in companies. So there are opportunities in both, and probably maybe 60-40, I would say, in favor of industry.
Okay, I'll take one more question because we're a little bit tight on time, but it's wonderful to see so many questions coming through. And if any of your questions haven't been answered today, Kelly has very kindly shared her email address, but Laura, you might pop yours and my email address up and we can field any questions that way. Someone is asking, they're pursuing their bachelor's degree, Colm, currently in polymer science and surface technology, but over the years they have developed an interest in green technology, bioresources and agri-food. Could they make an application with their background?
To the Sustainable Energy and Green Technology program, Katie, is it?
They didn't say, but they said they've an interest in green technology, so I'd expect that it would be that program.
Yeah, the entry requirements for the Sustainable Energy and Green Technology or the environmental technology are from to have a science or engineering background. So they don't assume prior knowledge in the areas of the modules which are studied that year. So absolutely, that person would be suitable.
And I think that would back up Luke's concern initially, where he felt that he was coming, I think it was zoology you mentioned, Luke, and you were a little bit nervous that would you be joining a full class of engineers? Did you feel there was a mix in your class? And I know you mentioned that it wasn't as terrifying once you got into the program.
Yeah, I think there was a good mix, and you know, there's a few people like myself who hadn't done an engineering degree, so we're in the same boat. But again, to say the lectures were fantastic and everything was made accessible for us. So.
Brilliant. I'll take the very last question. Someone is asking, do we offer scholarships? We do offer scholarships, but you need to have either an offer or a conditional offer to make your application. You can apply for either the Global Excellence Scholarships, which are 50 to 100%. They're very rare and very competitive. We also offer VPI college scholarships. The applications usually open at the beginning of January and close at the end of March, beginning of April. So that's when you make your application for those as well. So I'm going to wrap it up today. Apologies, we didn't get through all the questions. Thank you very much for joining us. As mentioned, this will be recorded. This has been recorded and we will send you a link to it all. But I would like to sincerely thank the time that Professor Colm O'Donnell gave us today, that both Luke and Kelly gave us in terms of their experience, and to my colleague, Laura. Thank you very much.